introduce everybody. This is Thomas, a wonderful, wonderful player, person, musician, keyboardist, and I I don't even introduce the name of your band. I want you to say it because it's such a great it's such a great band name. It's so fun. So I'm gonna have you help with the intro, okay,
All right.
Mr.
Hello,
Anderson?
everyone. And you said I was a wonderful person, which
You are. We've been talking for a while, so I can vouch for him for the past part
oh,
of the
thank
morning.
you, because I thought you made that decision quickly, but I thank you for this. The name of the band is Gazpacho,
It's a
which for
great name.
those uninitiated in the culinary arts is a Spanish tomato soup that is served cold. And the name came from back in the day when John and Jan Henrik and I were in the studio making some songs, and the lyric for a Marillion song called Gazpacho was running in the background of a screensaver, because those are back in the days when we had screensavers. I don't know if we have those anymore.
Yeah, I think we do.
And we thought, well, this music sounds pretty good actually, and it's interesting. And then we thought, why not use the name Gazpacho? It was also partly because we were sort of half joking in the studio as well at the time, and we wanted to see, while we experiment, we also wanted to see what would the band Marillion, which we were huge fans of, what would the band Marillion be like if they had Latino beats, much in the style of early Mars Volta albums that
Oh
use some
yeah.
of those
Okay,
cabasas.
yeah. I like Mars Volta. I didn't even think about that. That is a really great connection.
Yeah, I love the Mars Volta.
Oh, I do
Huge.
too. I just didn't even think about the connection between your earlier music and them. I didn't even put that together.
But there was an element of humor in there as well, because Marillion is a very serious band, and
Mhm.
songs are very serious. And we thought, what if we made a funny version of Marillion? And then it all turned sour and turned very dark very quickly. And I think now we're known as the bleakest and darkest band in the world. I have to say, 2 days ago, I tried that new Google chat bot thing for the first time.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Okay.
Mr. IT guy?
I have no idea. I don't even care about that kind of stuff anymore.
The artificial intelligence
Oh,
Google chat thing? You know what I'm talking
I
about.
know you're talking about. I don't even. I've literally just given up on technology for the most part.
But I tried it and I said, write a lyric in the style of Gazpacho. And the thing came out with this: life is dark, everything is terrible, the night is crazy. And I thought, really? That's how even the artificial intelligence sees us, as dark and bleak? Because we're pretty lighthearted,
That's
fun guys.
literally like a
Yeah.
teenager just taking a young child or a teenager
Yeah.
taking in the information and saying how they see it is what artificial intelligence kind of does in a way. It's a very generic one. I think I'm very nonlinear. It's a very flat-sided view of how
Yeah.
they take it. It's very literal, and I think
Mm.
that's why I've had no interest in it to begin with. Just like I don't like when music's putting like recommended, or like I said, I keep Siri turned off. And I'm not afraid of Big Brother. I don't care if God, if somebody wants to be bored out by spying on me, God, if that's your life, ugh, you really need to get a life. I
Yeah.
have nothing, but to that point, it's just I don't need. I can find my own stuff. I found your band. Onto my own. Like I can find my own movies. I once I have directions on my phone, I don't need you telling me anything else. Like,
I,
and it's not a dig for somebody else. I enjoy the fact of a human that I still have a brain I can search for stuff. So to me, having that little extra help there when I need it is all I need. I don't need the other stuff. Does that
oh
make
no,
sense?
totally agree. But you know what? I just thought of now. Or if the, what's it called, national security, NSA, right?
Yeah.
If they're actually watching people, or other governments, I wonder what the insights they get into what humans are like are, because they can actually, let's say they were watching you all the time on the cameras around your
Mhm.
house. They will see you exactly as how you are when you think you're alone. And none of us have ever seen other people when they think they're alone for prolonged periods of time. I wonder what they've learned. I
That we're
wonder what
boring.
they know about people now that they can't share because they're not supposed to be watching us at all. But I'm wondering
Yeah.
what they've gathered.
It's the only time people go back to A is if something happens. Because to watch something in real time when you're in life in real time, it's like having a life-size map. The joke of I have a life-size map of the United States in my pocket. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you're already in it. How can you go back and watch 24 hours and something just happened? Then you're already like in the negative. Like so a
Impossible.
week went by, you can't possibly consume it all, even on a
No,
monitoring business. So at the best, I think the computers are doing some kind of bot algorithms where they're doing keywords. Like when you get a job, like when you go for jobs, and you do the interviews nowadays, and this probably the past 10 years, and I could be a little bit wrong. And if anybody has an opinion on this out there watching, keep it to yourself. No. But it changed where if you do a resume, there's like to be like 20 or 30 words, and you have to put these keywords into your resume. And when you apply the job, instead of HR going through all these things, it would find them and then put you in a pile, and then the humans could go through it, right?
Yeah.
So that is kind of what I feel, and I could be kind of wrong, but this is the feeling I get with technology. What I know is a lot of the world is still kind of key based, word based. So if you say something, for some reason your phone is picking up why early in the conversation, if you say something like dogs and it comes in your feed, I do think there's a keyword. I don't think it's as big picture on the security world. Maybe on the monitoring, as far as like when you let them use a Siri, turn on this song. You know what I mean? Like I don't do that because that has a weird thing where it does have AI and it is learning your voice and it is learning things. So it can behave against you. So it has a different intelligence built into it. So I think it does pick up more than it needs to. And it's because it's taught to use what you say to it.
Yeah.
So, but you're only choosing what to say to it, but it's taught just to learn all the time. So kind of like asking for what you get at some level because you are teaching it by leading it on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Of course.
So to me, I don't think everything can be consumed. I don't think the world's and I think people are just naturally boring. I think you'll see less smiles, you'll see more grumpy people, you see more depression and more sadness and more loneliness. And I think nothing would be scarier than people seeing people that are lonely and scared than think of some kind of crime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the AI watching all this is going to get terminally depressed.
Yeah, I actually get depressed and be jumping off things like that was really weird. Why that robot jump off a cliff? Bored.
Imagine the AI going, I can't do this anymore.
I quit. Join a chess club.
Yeah.
Fly to Mars. Yeah, I do think
if you are really into someone's music or literature or painting or whatever, you can't fathom where the hell is this stuff coming from. For me, I've been open about this for many years, but I'm a huge Kate Bush fan. And I can't fathom how she managed to land all those songs and lyrics with such incredible beauty.
Yeah.
Now I know in real life that it comes from shitloads of hard work. She spent every single day in the studio working on music from dusk to dawn. So that's where it comes from. It's all work and of course circumstance. I mean, her brother was a friend of David Gilmour, and that always helped back in the days of.
But if you didn't have the talent, it wouldn't matter who you're friends with.
No, this I agree with. Whenever anyone asks me,
I've got some great relationships now with the show, but no one's gonna give me a record deal for my guitar playing. Trust me. It doesn't matter,
Yeah, but if you write an amazing album, it will be released. I guarantee.
Right.
Everyone's always looking for something fantastic. If you wrote Bohemian Rhapsody tomorrow, you could just walk into a record company and say, "I'm here. I have arrived, and here's my latest album," and call my lawyer.
The only way a record company would appreciate it is only because it's already been out and successful. Very rarely will the originality of something the first time out be caught. That was even caught the first time.
Yeah, I know. Was it a single? Was Bohemian Rhapsody the first single?
I think it was a fight. It was a struggle, and people thought I was insane for doing it. And that's how you know you're onto something great. Even if it fails, doing something crazy and pushing the limits that excites you is already a success.
Agreed. That is the meaning of success. Definition of success is coming up with something that is so new that
you're bursting with excitement yourself inside. Like you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And also if you write something like that, where did this come from? How lucky am I to be able to be somehow channeling this stuff wherever it comes into the world. And I think, but to sum up, if you wrote Bohemian Rhapsody in your basement tomorrow, you could basically just send it off with it. Here it is, and they would sign it immediately. So there's no secret. And as you said, it doesn't matter who you know. It really doesn't matter who you know. It helps. It helped people.
You know what I'm gonna say is when we talk about everyone doing these basement things, I don't think enough props is given when we talk about the Boston. When Boston's album was done, he created his own tools. He created the album Boston and recorded it in his basement. This was way back before everyone seems to forget about how brilliant that was. That album, the songs, the melodies, the harmonies, That's just like one dude who he didn't even have certain equipment. He invented equipment to keep processing what his mind was creating for music. That is just insane to me. Like
Yeah,
insane in
that
the
is.
coolest way. Like, can you imagine just like you're like, I need to do this. And it's all different now because we have computers, but this wasn't then.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
his
And
wire,
it
this
sounds
is
great
analog.
too.
It still holds up. It
Yeah,
still
yeah.
holds up.
He's working on tape, and he's, I mean, now you can fix so many things in the computer.
Yeah.
So that was an amazing story, and I think it also again proves that if you've got something happening that is exciting enough,
Mhm.
it will find a way to get out and into the world. I
If
sincerely,
you have a phone in your basement and you're creative,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as
yeah,
you're not a robot, because that's kind of creepy.
yeah. But I mean that it will eventually end up with that. I mean, I think that
It will. And
it,
eventually the new excitingness of this part will change too, because it won't be new anymore, because everything will be done by everybody. And
yeah.
it'll be just like before, where it was into rules. Everything changes, and then it'll have to shake it up again somehow, hopefully.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're deconstructing society itself now, and I don't know what we're going to put in the old
In this
society
place.
place.
I don't know.
And
I
I
don't know if
think
we
it's
need
very
to.
dangerous to play around too much. As you said earlier, you had a great thing that you said before we started recording, which was that the 70s was the last station before technology came in and did its thing. And I think that I was born in 1972, so I managed to catch some of those 70s and early
Yeah.
80s. And I remember the first computers that we've both been out with the entire trip.
Yeah.
And I think being a boomer now, I think that
But does it
it's
interest you then? No, computers. Like I was born in '70, so we're like I said, we're very close in age.
yeah,
Um, but like when computers came out in college for me, 89,
yeah,
90, the first version. I mean, it was like they've been out for 5, 10 years. I mean, you can go back further, but to
yeah,
me, they're just word processors.
yeah.
I didn't
No, I
care.
had no
I'm like
interest.
IT guy now. I didn't care about computers until they could actually do something fundamentally interesting to me.
Yeah, that
I
was
was going
thanks.
for music, and I could care less about computers at the time.
Can you remember the Amiga 500?
Well, I can remember all of my roommates used to have them, all these
Yeah,
computers, and I was like, I get where it's interesting, but to me, it just wasn't interesting to the point where I could do something with it into what I enjoyed doing. I could see the future. It wasn't like I thought it was wrong, but it
yeah,
didn't relate to what I'm like. That's great, and I could see the data and the information is where it's going to be right now. But
yeah,
unless we translate it to something like media and music and stuff, especially going to school for video and recording, until it could process switches over. At that point, it was mostly like a lot of office, desk job stuff.
yeah.
It was more geared
Typewriter,
towards
glorified
right.
typewriter.
That's what it was, right? But the knowledge of data, the potential was great. I mean, nowadays you see the pictures of those rooms with computers. They're like a whole office is full of computers. And that data thing is the same thing as on a flash drive from 5 years ago. The size of that memory, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
which is bananas. Um,
yeah.
you said something earlier. You the band name you started with Marillion, which is kind of fun. Um, how serious they can be. Now I've talked to Steve, and actually earlier I've spoken to Fish,
Yeah.
and which I really find funny. With it being such a serious band, there's something very lighthearted about them as people, but not even goofy. It's just very lighthearted. I don't know if you find that with them.
I
Either their
do.
music.
I do.
It's surprising the music's so heavy like that, because speaking to both those icons,
Yeah.
that's not what you get from them. You know,
No, not at all. Not at
it's
all.
it's it's an exuberance of kindness also comes from them.
Yeah, I actually, because I sent Steve Hogarth as
The singer, now, yeah,
he's a friend of mine because or of ours because we toured
right.
together back in 2004. And I sent him a Happy New Year's message this year, and I said, I've never been. I can't remember. I was just joking around. I said, I've never been more proud of you. And he sent back, "Oh, Happy New Year." Why? And then and the reason, and I had to ask myself, why did I write this? I was a little bit. I'd had a few drinks. It was New Year's Eve. And then I realized that the guy has always had a positive message.
Mhm.
Now, I said Marillion was serious, and it is a serious band. But if you look at the Steve H stuff, he's always been a positive
Yes.
voice.
Hmm.
He's always talking about how things are going to get better. He's or they, but his lyrics are always, I would say, uplifting.
Yeah.
So, and he's a really funny, down to earth, beautiful person, as you experience. I don't know Fish at all. I've never met him, but uh, there's a positivity in his message. I don't know if Fish has the same.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it. I think
I think
Hogarth
if you go back and listen to it, it's
was
it's 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 very different. Yeah, I actually talked to Steve, guitar player. But I agree with you on that, especially on the lyrics. But with Fish, first off, it was very nice because he doesn't usually do interviews. He does his own show, and the first thing he said is that when I reached out to him, he said, "I don't really do these at all, because it's not his thing." He goes, "But I looked at your stuff, and I liked you, and I liked what you're saying. It felt real, which is such a compliment because there's
yeah,
nothing more you want to be in life than real to somebody
yeah,
and honest about something." So it was very, very kind. And we talked for a long period and he was very open. And there's a positivity of not just being uplifting words, of showing the struggles you've gone through or your challenges and believing in it. That's still a different type of positivity and inspiration that somebody else would take. Because somebody just want to hear, yay, live, laugh, love. Some people want to say, that guy down the street, that woman down the street, my teacher, every day they had problems at home. They had to deal with this person, this, whatever. And they come in every single day and they teach those kids. And they're not telling jokes, but they're doing this.
yeah.
I'm not saying he's negative or melancholy. What I'm saying is there's still a positivity and something that you don't hear inspirational by living or doing your own art way, your art
Yeah.
through struggle and challenges to get your end point and sticking with it no matter what. I mean, he
Agree.
quit Marillion at the peak because he
Yeah,
believed in something. That's inspirational. When we were younger, we're like, that's bananas. When
yeah,
you're an adult, you go, God, that's brave
yeah. That was brave. That was
to do
crazy.
what you want.
Yeah,
It's crazy and brave because you're like, from a business, you're like, that's how would you, but you know what? To be so into yourself and confident and to just do what you want to do, no matter what the world says. People are judging you because now you have fans. It's not even what you care anymore. Your thoughts are gone.
yeah, yeah,
Money, this success. I don't care. I just want to do what I want to do.
yeah. That was a very brave thing to do.
So, I mean, it's a different type of inspiration and a different types of people, and which makes a band even more fun. So I like the fact that some of the core of you guys was inspired from parts of Marillion to begin with, you
Yeah, yeah,
know, because there's
yeah.
a lot
We've
of layers
never
in there.
hidden that. We've always been
Yeah,
open about that
no, but I
because
like that about that. That's one of the things I like is I find it very endearing. You know what I mean? What would you qualify your band now as a sound? I know I've heard the word art rock. I don't think you guys are art rock now. I mean, what would you? I don't even know.
yeah, that's a. I always hate
That was
this.
that was an old term, and it feels like I think of art and noise when I hear art rock.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know what art rock is. I don't
I don't either.
with a label. I think with Expatriate music is, I would say it would be. It's difficult because now I wanted to say cinematic music, and then I felt like an ass, you know. So, but it's supposed to be okay. I warn you now. This is going to be a long answer.
Should I
We've
get a
always
pillow?
been, yeah. I mean, you should go
Or you
off and
stretch
take
first. I
it
don't
in,
want
and
to give you
I'll
cramps. Okay,
I'll
go.
call you when I'm done. But we've always been very, very sensitive to the fact that there is so much music being made.
Mhm.
So I've always claimed that if you make an album, you need one hell of an excuse for why you made it. Because we need more music? I mean, there's
Yeah.
more. I could listen to music for 100,000 years, and I wouldn't even be past the first
Is
percent
that
of
wait?
what's on.
All right. Hold one thought though. Is that why you do music? If you didn't do music for a living, just say you were a school teacher, a postman, a milkman,
Yeah.
with your skill set you have right now and the music burning in your soul, would you still not do music as a hobby?
No, I would make music. I would make music, but I
All
would
right.
not.
So what if nobody was consuming it? Would you still make it? Why do painters paint and not get famous till after they die? If you're an artist and you have it in you, it's not
Yeah,
about what you need. Does it work out well? Society wants your music, yeah, because insurance isn't free. It's nice to live comfortably. There's no reason why a band shouldn't get copyrights and paid for publishing, and they shouldn't be successful. Why can't they use their music in a commercial? It's nice to get paid, but to
yeah,
the point is, it doesn't matter if the world needs more music. You need to get it out of you, and then from there, it's a
yeah. Except
benefit if the world wants it.
it's a very interesting
That's
question
just my
because
thought for you
yeah, but
being an
it's
artist.
an interesting question because why the hell do you need an audience if you claim that you're this? person, you got all the stuff burning inside you. Why does it feel so damn great that thousands of people listen to it?
That's psychology right there. That's an acceptance level. But an audience also helps pay to allow you to expand your creativity. Because if you do have more toys and more tools, and you don't have to worry about that your sick family, and you can put your parents in a house because they allowed you to live for free in their basement and create music. If you can take care of some of your other emotional needs that aren't 100% music based, and you can focus back on music and create even to your next level,
Yeah, this
the
is true.
money in the audience does help that in the early stages. I mean, it can get kind of wonky after a while,
Yeah,
but the
but
soulness of money in the beginning can be good. Money's not evil; it's the use of what you do with it when you.
this is true. But let's say you were a billionaire, right? If I won the lottery tomorrow, would I still be releasing stuff? And I think
Yeah,
I probably would. And the reason why, at least I've tried to fool myself into believing this, is that the audience is not narcissistic, is not feeding my narcissism. But I think that an audience, or our narcissism, I should say, but an audience is a group of people who, out of all the billions and what 8 billion people on Earth, these are the people that have something in common with us, and they clicked on the same thing that we, and
right.
they by being a part of the program, they appreciate the fact that someone mentioned something that maybe they feel should have been mentioned in music or in words, or someone said something that they wanted to be said.
Right.
And I think the brother and sisterhood of that is the main argument for why an audience is a wonderful thing, apart from the money side. Which, by the way, if you want money, then make. I mean, I will make more from making one jingle for a TV commercial
Yeah, right.
than the entire Gazpacho album,
Yeah.
definitely. So it's not for money, and it's not for fame in any sense, but I think it's for the personal satisfaction of creating something which I think is damn good sometimes.
Yeah.
The other personal satisfaction of finding other people on earth that are like us, because that makes us all feel less alone, I think.
And there's nothing wrong with so with that thought, it's like, is it bad if you give somebody a hug and they feel good and you feel good? So it's mutual. Are you being selfish or because you want a hug from somebody? Is it, they can say like Mother Teresa, when she got an award or whatever, she wanted to melt it down and give it away for the poor, or all these different stories you hear. Her whole life is dedicated to doing that. What happens when you do something for somebody? How do you feel? Good, right?
Yeah,
So I imagine she felt good best. She probably felt best when she was helping people as a human being, right?
yeah,
So is that
sure.
selfish? So was she doing it to be selfish because it really made her? That's what made her feel good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Everything makes us different. So you could argue the point. I'm not saying she was selfish, so people don't go there.
yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
point is, you could argue the point that she was being selfish, and that's not true. I don't believe. So, what makes you feel good, and other people like, and how it works in that relationship, it's kind of debatable. I think if you feel good and other people can feel good, it's a double bonus of being a human being and humanity, because that's kind of the goal in life. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
if creating music inspires other people, something you already feel good about. If other people like it, that's the best. It's like when you're in charge of, taking care of somebody, you help them out. You take a pet or kids, and you help them grow. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
can be selfish in a way and not selfish. You know what I mean?
But I think it's also, there is music seems to hit harder than most other art forms.
Music heals. Music can be like a medicine.
Oh, definitely. And I don't know why. I've been trying to figure this out for all these years. Why can a tune hit you so damned hard? And I'm wondering if, I have, maybe I've read theories, maybe I've made them up, but I think, maybe your mom sang to you when you were a baby. But then again, why do mothers automatically sing to their kids? Because they do. And why does it soothe the kids? And so why especially song? Why is song so strong? I know from mixing albums, I know that the only thing you hear, like when you mix an album, then idiots like me will sit there listening to the snare drum. And when I listen to everyone else's album, I listen to the voice.
Yeah, right.
Can you remember the snare drum on Bohemian Rhapsody?
No,
No,
I
you
can't. But
can't.
there are some songs I can't listen to because of the snare drum because I did go to school for recording, It took me a long time to get over that. I'm like, this is a brilliant song. I can't believe how bad the snare drum is.
Yeah,
It's like,
all right. But
come
you're
on, there are a
again,
couple songs you've done in the studio, Tom. It's ruined you, just like I can imagine any career you have. You like, you build houses for a living. You go to someone's house. You're like, God, that's a beautiful house. Look at that banner there. Probably could have been tightened up a little bit. Like it's.
yeah. I mean, it's an occupational hazard. But I
But
remember the
I
worst.
agree with you. I'm just giving you. I'm busting on you on
Yeah,
that
but
one.
I have to tell you, the worst one I had was when I was working on a mix for such a long time, and then I thought, for some reason, because I've got these Amphion studio monitors, and I put on Michael Jackson's Billie Jean. Now, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I would think most people would agree that Billie Jean was somewhat successful.
Yeah,
And I think most people would agree that Billie Jean was probably well mixed.
yeah, I give you that.
Yeah.
I give you Off the Wall. I actually I'd go back an album even. Off the Wall I think is the best album produced in sound wise he's ever done. I'm not even a big fan of Michael Jackson
Yeah,
by
no,
politically,
me neither. But
but the sound
anyway,
wise, I agree with you.
I put on Billie Jean, and all of a sudden, and there's a shaker. Chugga, 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 boop, 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 boop. And then I thought the shaker was too loud. And then I was annoyed by the shaker. And then I listened to it a couple of days later, and of course, everything was fine. So your ears get into this weird space, and I mean, you need to take breaks, which of course I didn't. And that has been,
That is it.
a big mistake because if you're mixing for 1 hour, if you take, then you can either spend the next 3 hours trying to fix the problem and
That
make it
that ear
work.
fatigue is the word, and it's brain fatigue too. You need to actually listen. I think listen to different music. I think like we went through a phase in the studio. We listened to remember the band Cameo, Word Up, and they have a bunch of really great songs. They had a song called Front Street. That was like the wine palette refresh we do. We play
Yeah,
that song in the studio, Front
yeah,
Street by Cameo,
yeah,
as an ear cleansing because of
yeah.
the sounds of it. It was well produced for for exactly that song, but it really changed what you were listening to, especially if it was like a hard rock thing or this or that type of music.
Oh
It
yeah.
was it was a very funky song, so you're like it really helps to mix it up, so you're not focusing on that stuff.
No, I mean, as I said, especially snare drums are just they're
Yeah,
hell on earth.
cymbals and snare, like anything that shakers that hold. There's something of that frequency. And if it's too dry, it kills me. And if it's too, if you put a reverb on it, I just want to go near the room. Like I don't know how to deal with it emotionally. I think I should see somebody about that because it's like the worst thing for me. And
Yeah,
you have to do live drums because I can't not hear live drums. Otherwise, I don't like it either.
yeah. So you go to the shrink. He's like, "So what's bothering you?" And you're like,
Yeah,
"It's snare drums, man. It's the
that's it.
snare drum
Yeah,
killing me, man."
everything else is fine. That's how life is. It's like water. Life is like water, but the drums is what gets me.
The snare drum is what's
Yeah.
screwing everything up and destroying it.
Hi hat too. Some hi hat get me too, but that's another show.
Yeah, and especially cymbals.
Yeah.
People who use crash cymbals for rides.
I could see if you ride, yeah, riding your drums also could be a thing.
Yeah, I just want them killed. I want all of those people killed. And no
Unless you're at
offense to
the
all of
no,
them.
no. You can do a lot of riding at the very end of a song where it's a big finale and everyone's kind of going crazy.
Yeah,
But
but if it's like it's like I once said about acoustic guitars. You can play the acoustic guitar at a party, but you can also choose not to play it, which is much preferred by all. I'm
it
not saying
is
you can't play it. I'm just saying that we would all prefer if no
if you
one
didn't.
played the acoustic guitar, and maybe better if they were left away from crowds and crowded rooms.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can get away with it at a campfire when you're kind of knows nothing else to do and everyone's engaged. If everyone does it together, like in an outside setting, I could see more fun.
And do the
I,
kumbaya. That could
well,
work.
no, even just fun songs like that. You guys know as a generation. I've never been in that situation with either of them because I never went to those kind of parties when I was younger. And I'm not that guy now.
No.
So
Yeah.
I could see it. And if I was in a party, if somebody started doing it, I'd be like, and I
Yeah.
love music. I hear you on that one. But
We were having a great conversation, and then all of a sudden, someone started playing the acoustic guitar. It's why are you playing the acoustic guitar?
like being in a cafe.
Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves. But I wish not to offend any guitar players, so I apologize in advance. And I think you're all wonderful.
Well, here's the thing. Why you'd want to do it because as a musician and you don't have that things a chance to perform music you enjoy in front of your friends and get the accolades is pretty awesome.
It is. It is. Yeah,
But
yeah. I'm being
unfortunately,
petty. I'm being petty. I
no. But
apologize.
this is me doing both sides now. But on the other end, all your friends are together. If they wanted to go do music, they'd probably go to a concert. So, but they also want to appreciate you. So it's this really weird relationship where, like, as a musician, you want to have a chance. That might be your only chance. So it's cool. But then your friends also may just course they're going to support you, but they also kind of want to have a talk time. So it depends on that type of world. Um, for me, like something like a cafe now for an artist, what I'd rather do is sit and watch an artist. I'm not a big fan of background music, so I find it distracting. A, from at an event with the background music, it's not to the artist. Sometimes it can be infuriating that I'm at a show or something, or a showing of something. You know what I mean? And there's a great classical trio, and I'm looking at an art thing, right?
Yeah,
And people are talking to me. I'm like, you kind of shh.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just kind of want to listen to the trio because they're beautiful. And even if it's an art show, their background, everyone gets subjected to different positions depending on what the event is. Now, next time they could be the main show and the art could be on the walls of the show they're playing. You know what I'm saying? It
yeah,
depends on your perspective. So to me, sometimes I'd rather listen to the music at an event and not hear the people. And it's not the design of the show.
yeah.
So there's just, it really depends on where your mind's at the time, and
Uh,
who you are and what your goal is. But those are distracting to me because sometimes I'd rather just listen to an artist or just talk at one thing. I'm one or the other because I don't want to put music in the background too much.
no, no,
I
no.
can't.
No,
Enya's good for background music. It's relaxing, it's beautiful, but it's not overtaking my mind. That kind of new age where you have a beautiful music, but where I'm not challenged. You start doing like different things. I want to pay attention to you. I don't want to talk.
yeah, I agree, and I've found the same thing. I found that especially when autumn comes around and the nights get darker, I found that if I listen to just smooth jazz background music, just
Mm-hmm.
leave it on, then the depression doesn't hit as hard because it's just jazz is just first of all, jazz is funny because it's
It
so
is.
damn cool. So I find it just funny that people just it's just I don't know why, but I
It's
find
crazier than you think. It's actually
amusing.
it's very punk
Jazz is punk.
in an attitude. Yeah, it's just as
I,
punk as
I
punk.
totally agree, but I think it's the first time anyone said that sentence. But jazz is definitely punk. I mean, you just do your thing, baby. Do your thing.
It's first off, it's very complex music, and I love to go back to jazz and sometimes on a topic because I'll talk to somebody like like a band like Helmet, very metal, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've
Page
heard
Hamilton,
of it.
fantastic musician. He's very much into classical and jazz, complex musician, and it's like a lot of jazz arrangements. He's admitted to me, like in Zeppelin and jazz, into the arrangements of Helmet. So you don't know where jazz is going to sneak up. Point is, I mean, it's not always the best loved. Everybody hates it. That's not a musician.
Yeah.
I mean, and nobody gets it, or they find it boring. I mean, I'm a Zappa fan, so you really appreciate some of the jazz transitions or the influence. And you can have a jazz influence in an artist, but not have jazz that you think of jazz.
I
You
mean,
know,
jazz is
it's everywhere.
well, it's everywhere, but jazz is first of all the chops on those guys.
Yeah.
Do you realize how great players some of those? I'm a huge fan of Django Reinhardt
Oh God,
and
yeah.
the string swing guitar. The guy
Mm-hmm.
was missing some fingers, but he was still just this. The music is just so cool. How can you be cooler than a string swing
But the
guy?
point is, like, it's like the
Impossible.
most. It's not, but it's so crazy. But it's not even punk. It's like super talented artists with a punk
Yeah,
attitude.
yeah.
And I don't think the two of them go together for some people. You can't consume two. It has to be one or the other. It has to be chocolate or vanilla. It can't be that. It can't be a swirl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the weird thing is that the older I get, the more I realize that there's so much damn good music. I've been getting into the early music.
I would too. A lot of jazz guitars lately for me. A lot of the older jazz guitars and blues, like horns players and stuff for me. A lot of deep dives that way.
How old though?
I'll go back 40s, 50s, 30s. I just keep going back further and further because I find an artist I like, right? After we
Yeah,
talk today, besides I've listened to your music's in my normal rotation, as a lot of artists I listen to, right? Because I listen
yeah,
to very like whatever. But now after us talking, I'm gonna have to just talk about Mars Volta. I'll go there. Next thing you know, I'll probably be going back even for like as we talk about this, I'll be go back listen to more artists again. It depends, I love if I see an artist like this person and I say, oh, this artist likes this artist, who inspired, whoever. And I just keep going back and back, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Which
I
is
do.
always the best thing to do. That's my mantra, really. Two things I say is either you as an artist and as a musician, you serve the song, and if you're a fan, what is your favorite artist that you like? Who are they into? And then go back again and keep doing it.
Yeah, then
And
you
you're gonna
can.
surprise and you're gonna really you'll be like, I didn't even know I like this type of music. I didn't get where this came from. And I think the Page Hamilton thing is a great example for somebody who's like just a pure metalhead. You're like, and he listens to Zappa and he not Zappa, I'm sorry, he listens to Led Zeppelin and he listens to jazz, and he actually does jazz performances. There's guys in thrash bands that have jazz trios. Like, you can't just put it down into one thing. So if as a musician you serve the song, as a fan, if you listen to what the artist you like is, you can be pretty fulfilled off those two things.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, the only issue now is that I think life is a tad too short. I wish
Especially for all the music that's out there.
yeah, yeah, no, no, I'm talking about because I still feel that there's so much stuff I need to go through
Mhm.
and listen to, and I haven't had I'm not full at all. I'm still hungry for lots of new stuff. And
I agree.
I wish that whoever these people who are responsible for the length of life, if they could add 10 or 20 years to the end, I would be much appreciated. So if any of you are watching this,
Get on it.
like, and isn't that what's the name of these gods that cut the threads from Greek
Right.
mythology? If they could just put me further down the list,
Right.
please. Because I still need still tons of stuff I need to listen. I'm getting into also now some of the more contemporary classical music,
Do you feel it's happened?
and by that I mean contemporary is in the 1920s.
Right.
So not as contemporary, but I think some of these modernist composers are getting to me now. I
You think in
never
the past 10, 20 years, of actually even 15, 20, 10 years, your perspectives changed so much? Like, you feel like, I feel like, yeah, I know what I like, I know what I like. But I was still open, don't get me wrong, but never not this open. But man, these past 10 years, even before COVID, I'm like, I can't hear enough. I can't. How can you listen to everything? I'm like, I listen to everything. I don't like everything, but I like something from almost every genre. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't, just because my show has everything on it, I don't like everything.
you
I have
know
an opinion,
I
but I
do
do like a lot of different things. I keep learning more and more things I have no clue about, and that's my 40s and 50s for you right there. As time goes on, and my mind opens up even more.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Imagine what you're going to be like at 90. You're going to be
Right?
all over the
Okay,
place.
but with my memory though, it might not even matter because I just might remember three things anyhow. So I
Yeah,
could just keep
that's
repeating myself on the same three
hey,
things.
hey, I just a couple of days ago I heard about this album called The Caretaker. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's a 6.5 hour long piece, uh, electronic music
Mhm.
about a guy who is following the various or going through the various stages of dementia. Artist is called The Caretaker, and I can't remember the name of
I'm
but
gonna
you
check
can
it out after
Google.
this today. Yeah, I'll
If you
check it today.
Google The Caretaker, and it
Yeah.
sounds a little bit like that ballroom music at the end of The Shining,
Oh,
but with tons
nice.
of reverb on it, and it's far in the background. And it's supposed to be a very dark and scary experience. And I'm looking forward to that because, as you were talking about, as your mind opens, I find that whenever I discover new music, it's almost a little bit like opening a window onto a new
It's
world.
inspiring too. On other parts of your
They're
life, you hear it,
always
you get
inspiring.
excited inside, and you start thinking of other things because of that. It makes you think of other things.
Yeah, but if you can open a new window into a new little interesting world and you can shut it and do another one, I just think that the curiosity and the magic of doing that is just it's so fulfilling and so exciting that it's impossible to fathom that it's going to end one day, either by
Yeah.
the dementia or by death itself, which I hear is a very
Permanent.
definitive ending to things
I
from
heard it's
the
very
report.
permanent. It's like
I've heard it's
taxes.
very permanent from the reports that have come to me, but
My
and I
goal is
don't
I'm gonna
know.
be the Silver Surfer. I think I'm out of here. Tell everybody. I don't care. Take my ashes. Take my organs for people that need it. Scatter my ashes. I'm Silver Surfer. I'm out of here, man. I got a
Yeah,
galaxy to surfboard to hit.
yeah, but I wonder what if because if you look at evolution, right? Evolution does not care about us apparently. So evolution just makes sure that we procreate and that's it. As long as you do that, that's evolution is done with you. Which means that you get like I read about this. I can't remember if it's a goat or a sheep, but there's an animal where the horns eventually grow into its eyes and blind it and kill it.
Oh,
Because evolution doesn't care because this happens at such a late stage that as long as they've had their kids, then there's no reason for that not to continue happening.
that feels like you build a car and 15 years in, the airbag starts going off. They don't care about it because it's really just a design flaw. Like, there should have been a
Yeah, well,
recall on those. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? It feels
yeah,
like a design flaw.
evolution's not here to be nice. Evolution is there. because it's there. There's no thought behind it.
It's not emotional. There's no emotion in
It's
light.
not emotional, baby.
Only
But
people are emotional. No one else is emotional in this world.
yeah, but what got me thinking is, what if, since there is no good force, according to what we think now, since there's no good force watching over us, what if you die and your soul, or whatever it's called, gets stuck in some limbo? Like, what if all of a sudden you're the Silver Surfer, you're saying, so now you're the Silver Surfer out in space, and there's a billion years of nothing. Have you read that short story by Stephen King called The Jaunt?
No.
It's about a kid who's teleporting, and you have to be, and this you have to be put under for the teleportation machine to work, and the kid forces him, doesn't take the pill or whatever, and it turns out that during that teleportation, he spends a couple of billion years just in a dark space, and he goes completely crazy, as you would
That would be
imagine.
my biggest nightmare. That would be my biggest nightmare.
That is the
Is
biggest nightmare, and he comes
like going
out.
to sleep or not existing or thinking or whatever is
Yeah.
fine.
So
I'm
what
not
if
concerned
death
with
is
death.
like this? What if death is like that? And then,
That would be
because
the scariest thing in the world.
yeah, and we don't know. So now we're all scared of dying all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
now I planted this in your head. I'm so sorry.
yeah, it's going to have to take some space up because I'll tell you, I do have. There's a couple things of my lifetime fears I talk about. There's sharks. There's electric blankets. There's
Electric
sharks
blanket.
with electric blankets, and now in my
Death.
life I've learned that alligators can climb trees. So not
You
only can I
serious?
Google that, you'll see alligators go climb trees. So if you can alligator can climb it as big as this, and you're thinking that's cool, you walk into alligators, an alligator chase you, you're gonna run up a tree because they're so long, and it looks like they're not designed for tree climbing. They're climbing trees.
See, that's the evolution I was
That's
talking about.
scary. That's
Yeah,
horrifying to
that is
hear.
scary.
That is end of days stuff for me. So those are some of my fears. Electric blankets are really sketchy too because you're. I feel like those are awful.
Talk about that for a minute. What's wrong with an electric blanket?
I had them as a child in the 70s, which is also just scary because the 70s with an electric blanket. Because we were talking earlier,
Yeah,
the 70s are just scary.
yeah,
Um, because you can assure those blankets, especially the ones they first made, were like literally flammable. Like every child's pajamas in the 70s were you couldn't be more flammable than dipping it in kerosene before you
yeah,
button
yeah,
it
yeah,
up.
yeah. I mean, that they
Okay.
were probably
So as a
explosive.
child, I was in flammable pajamas, and the blankets themselves were that weird felty material of the electric blankets.
Yeah, I
They're
remember.
made mass anything made in mass quantity is going to have a problem, especially
Yeah,
electronics.
sure.
And
Yeah,
and it's not even you can do the best you can. It's just that's just how it works. It's about numbers. It's like cars and how many accidents with insurance companies. It's
yeah,
cheaper to have 10 accidents in this car and get sued than fix the problem, which would cost X amount of money. So it
yeah,
really comes down to that. So something can catch on fire with a really flame, encouraging material on top of another flame encouraging material and
yeah,
a small child wrapped in it.
yeah. That's
That is
recipe
scary
for
to me.
disaster. Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree with you. I agree with you. That is scary. And also getting anything electrical in bed, kind of in itself,
yeah.
is scary
And
too.
I get why they did it because when it was in the old days when you had the hot, it was almost like the pole. I don't know what it's called. I excuse my history people. And you put it in the bottom of the bed to kind of keep it warm, and with the blankets. Back in the day, it was
Yeah,
that I could imagine had smells like everything was dirty and probably cold. Who knows what was in it, and the bed would get dirty. I get why you'd want to progress. I
yeah,
get the theory of it because no one's being cold in bed. Honestly, just get a dog to lay in your bed. It's just way safer. Dogs aren't imploding that I know of yet. It's still
yeah,
early.
yeah.
So that's my other fear. We've really gone off the track today.
Yeah, but
But that's the importance of knowing who, like talking about what you think about for your music, though.
what
Who
I
you
think
are.
about, yeah, that's true. I mean, it's we could. I'm sure that all of what we talked about is, I suppose, part of the package, because especially with something like Gazpacho, which is so, I would say it was weird in many ways. We were, after all, the first band that actually and really tried to destroy the universe, uh, which I would suppose is, I don't think anyone has actually done that before.
Not successfully now. They're still trying.
Yeah, we're still trying as well, but I think it's probably the first time anyone did that. So it's the kind Gazpacho, because we're all sort of creative types, and Gazpacho's been a great place to throw all the creativity into it, like a big
Mhm.
bucket of creativity you can just throw ideas into, and stuff will come out the other end. And like our I would say I think the album which is considered the best one is the one which is from 2007, which is called Night. And the whole thing came from the idea of just considering where dream ends and reality starts. Because if you have a dream at night in your bed,
Mhm.
then you're pretty sure that that didn't happen. But then again, if you look at stuff you've actually done in your life, like things you did 10 years ago, I mean, can you be sure that that actually happened?
I've had
Did you
dreams I
know?
can't.
Did you know? I recently read that every time you you pick up every time you remember something, the brain brings the memory back up and then saves it again, which means that your memories change every time you think of them. Every time you remember that, the story of that will change a little bit, which means that so now if something has happened years ago, is it real? Did it happen?
Well, that's what
If
they say about doing police when the police ask you what happened and
Yeah,
witness
yeah,
views.
you'll be totally wrong with everything. All witnesses are totally different. But my question is, if something lies in the past, has it actually happened at all? Because
Well,
you don't really know. And we know that the past is gone. So let's say if I died right now in a horrible fire in front of you, right? Let's say I was in an electric blanket and I burned to death now. Then the second after I was dead, would the fact that my death was painful matter at all? Because it has passed.
yes.
I think if you look at the level of comfort that we have achieved through technology and through capitalism, which has many bad sides, but many good sides as well. Bad side is we're destroying Earth. But all the stuff that we've created on the shoulders of giants, of course, and then we're still depressed means that the solution to happiness and the meaning of life does not lie in wealth.
No.
Because we definitely and certainly need a roof over our head and as you said, food, and you've got kids and you're insured, and if you have a heart
Right.
attack now, someone's going to come pick you up and try to help you. And then somehow we're still down in the dumps and depressed,
Yeah.
which means that there is an element missing. And I think that element may be meaning. We've managed to lose meaning on our way towards wealth. We chose, I think we picked the wrong door. We need to somehow find a way to inject meaning back into our lives.
I can see that. I think one of the other things is in the brain is like the ocean though. We'll never tap to the bottom of it. I think there's the chemical paths and make different like what would soothe me is not going to soothe you. It's so vast that
Yeah, it's the most complicated object in the universe, the human brain.
it
And
is.
and by some fluke, evolution managed to come up with this. And I wonder how many other planets that has happened on. People talk about alien life as if it has to be these really smart, big brain, gray. They're always gray. Why
Yeah.
couldn't they be? Why they're gray? Come on. But I think that I think it's a really strange occurrence what happened on Earth. So strange that the fact that we're screwing around with life itself and now playing around with talk of nuclear weapons and environmental destruction.
Isn't that evolution though? I mean, it's sad, but isn't it
Yeah,
truly evolution of a creature?
it definitely is because you if you're the I always think if you're in the Stone Ages again, right? If you met a guy out in the woods in the Stone Ages, there's no law, there's no nothing. Your safest bet would be to kill him
Mhm.
quickly because he may be a nice guy. Maybe he could join you. You could be two dudes hunting around, but he could also kill you in your sleep. So the smartest thing for you to do would be to just expedite this guy and get him killed, and that will increase your chance of survival, which means that aggression will always be built into humans. And also as an ape species, which in itself I think is an embarrassing thing, being an ape. Come on.
Embarrassing for the apes or for us.
Both. But I think in
At
this
one
case,
point, I
I'm
think it was
actually going
earlier
for it.
on it may have been embarrassing for us, but now I'm thinking I'd be embarrassed if I was an ape. I'm not really.
Agreed. But apes are crazy guys. They're crazy. And I think, I wish we could have been a cat or something more elegant. But then we wouldn't have the thumbs and everything. But maybe cats can have thumbs. But I'm just thinking that it's with evolution getting us to this point with this brain, it means that we're such a special occurrence and such a weird thing that we should probably try to hang on a little bit harder to preserving the human brain for as much as possible.
Oh yeah. But our race to be the best, like any species would do, or to be the top of the alpha chain, is
Yeah.
destroying it. That's I'm saying that's what it is. I think the fact that we have the thought process of having good and bad and all these other emotions, whereas a lot of species don't. I mean, some species have a nurturing thing, where you'll get like dolphins will protect somebody from a shark. They'll actually get together, but like large groups of animals don't always get together more than attacking a pack of something. You know what I'm saying? There's
Yeah.
no gathering of sharks, worldwide federation of sharks gathering. You know what I mean?
And I
If
bet
other
you'd be pretty
species had that,
pleased about that not existing.
dude, that would be the worst thing ever. That would be awful. That would be a new nightmare for me. I truly do have that many nightmares just for the fact I'm not even making it up. It's just a thing. But as a species, we've learned how to communicate and expedite things to such an obnoxious level on good and bad that no animal's ever been able to do that. You know what I mean? There's such amazing things out there. A shark can have a live birth and have eggs. Like it's the same species.
Yeah.
What? So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
an animal like a dolphin or a porpoise, because they are different. Each one will have different things. Have a different purpose. They are intelligent enough to do things. You know what I mean? They actually attack. They'll actually gang up on somebody. They can find bombs.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
they're not very
They
nice to
work for
female
the Navy.
dolphins. Yeah, they work for
Yeah.
the Navy. They're not very nice to female dolphins. They will actually attack them. It's they're very malicious. I think it's more the porpoises. And I could be wrong. If somebody should just Google it if they want the exact facts. The point is, they're very smart. And if they had organized, things could be different. You know what I'm saying? Like on a big picture.
I just had a very funny thought about these. What if they had a union? And they're like, okay, US Navy, we're finding bombs for you at great danger.
Yeah,
And you feed us with fish.
yeah.
I mean, we want to see we need some better, we need some cash, we need some rights, and we want a damn pension.
Childhood,
With as much,
like people that are, unless you're really eccentric in music, like me, and then to use a career, they kind of like stop at a certain point. Like your growth of music ends like when you go to college. After college, like the influential
yeah,
things of
I've
music are
heard
like,
about this. Yeah.
if you think about, if you talk to somebody, even some of your fans will be like, yeah, that was best when I was in a Journey. They don't do anything good now. I'm like, some of these bands at Journey, whatever these bands have done some of their best work ever. If you really listen to it, does it have to hit you as you're a rebellious teenager and you think nobody loves you, and that love song is because you're your first love, and your first love is an emotion? When you're a teenager, what is it? Teenage love or child love is, to teens, nothing is like, but exponentially more than a normal love feeling. Your body feels like 10%, 10 times or something out there where they say
Yeah.
you feel that feeling like it's overwhelming, like you can't, you know what I mean? And you hear it with a song for the first time, and it's the first time you're hearing music, and it's like your first time in a restaurant. Like it's so much sense. By the time you're in college and you're ending out, and also you're getting a job, you're paying for this, you listen to your favorite songs for like memories or for like a jolt. You're not
Oh,
experiencing
yeah, yeah,
music. People stop experiencing music on the emotional and cerebral level. It's now
yeah.
become, that's why we have cafe music. That's why we have somebody playing acoustic guitars, because they don't care. Meanwhile, you have somebody's trying to get their music out there, and the best they can be is somebody's background music. And I think that's where it starts to change up a little bit, and that affects how you feel.
Yeah, totally. It is a mind altering substance, except it's not a substance, is it? It's just barometric pressure. But it is music is a shortcut to change your mood,
Mm-hmm.
and with the right combination of lyrics and melody and sound,
Yep.
I think you can make powerful changes in the mental composition of that particular moment of consciousness. And if you look at how he used music, what's the first thing the church picked up when they were building the Vatican? They even had that secret tune, Te
Yep.
Deum,
Yep.
and they would have kept it secret because because it and I can tell you've heard it because you recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
And by God, doesn't that song just make you feel like you're lifted into the celestial
Oh
spheres?
yeah.
Isn't it just mind-boggling beauty? So it's music is so powerful that even though they built the 16th chapel, which and the St. Peter's Dome, which only God knows what that cost, and it's probably had a budget, I would think, but it's the music that did it. You can walk into that massive building. I've been there, and it's huge, and the statues are huge, and everything is marble. And how the dome doesn't fall down beyond my understanding. But the music is what moves you. Just some choir boys and you're in business.
Yeah, two things I always think about when I go to a place that's fantastic. Instead of thinking about everything else, at first I think of who's doing the painting on this, who's doing the touch-up paint. It's got to be the worst thing ever. Clean the windows, and I think, God, music would sound great in this room. You
That's
know,
why they built them with those acoustics,
right?
because they
Yeah,
knew if they were going to get all that cash, and this is, again, no offense to anyone. I have deep respect for the church. I really do. But I'm just saying that if you want the people to pay their taxes or their tenth or whatever it's called, when they collect money at the end, what's that called?
what
When they
the
collect
tax?
money in church?
Oh,
Exactly.
thank you.
It'll come
I
to
don't
you.
know.
But if
Oh
you
my God,
want
I
to
can't
make
believe I didn't think of that. Been
it
so
will
many years since
come
they've gone. Yeah,
it will come to you when you don't look for it. Because so the moment
it
it'll come to you when
releases.
you're in the shower tonight.
Yeah,
But to make sure people dug deep in their pockets, they needed to make God look like he was a big, powerful dude. So they built the huge church. But then that tune, that's what did it because it tugged at the heartstrings, and that's what got people paying out of their deep pockets. Because yeah, you can say that you're going to punish them with hell and purgatory and all these things, but in real life, if you can move me, you have my heart, and I will do everything for you.
right. Inspiration.
Yes, if you can move me, you've got me forever.
Hmm.
I'll love you forever. You can threaten me, and I'll do whatever you say, and you can have all my money and my phone, but move me, and I'm yours. And that's another example of the great power of music in action. So it'll help you through your first broken heart.
Yep.
It'll make sure you believe in the God that you're supposed to be believing in, and that you actively believe that this God is something that you want to stick around and hang out with,
Yep.
and it'll bring back all your memories, and it'll calm you down if you got the seasonal depression like I get with this damn country. And I've got my smooth jazz soothing me, and it just makes me laugh because I find it funny. And then laughter is, of course, the
Best
greatest medicine.
medicine, except for medicine.
Yeah, well, yeah, except for medicine, but it's the
I feel
second best
best
medicine.
second best medicine next to medicine
But I think the combination of laughter and medicine
is the
is
best.
it.
Actually, I agree with you. I laugh all the time. I
I'm a
have to.
huge fan of P.G. Woodhouse, the British author, and they use P.G. Woodhouse in cancer treatments in Sweden. Did you know this?
I didn't
They read Woodhouse books and they get better because
really.
it's the philosophy of his way of looking at the world through that humorous
Mhm.
lens is so crazy that they can look at their bad situation through another crazy lens,
Perspective.
and they can see that it's kind of funny too.
I'm not that familiar with it. I'll have to check that work out. I mean, I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, it's the funniest books ever written. And I'm a mad collector, as you can
Oh
see.
wow,
Those
you
are
are a
all
good collector.
those
You
are
are
first
good.
editions,
Are
and
they?
there's more back there.
Jeez.
So I'm one of these crazy collectors. Have you ever considered how come predators look good to us? Why is a shark beautiful and a sheep not so much? No offense to Shaun the sheep, but why do we think predators are prettier or more elegant than the prey animals?
I don't know. I don't know if that's always the case though. I guess I think it depends on the view. Like some people think sharks are awful, or I think they're the perfectly balanced machine.
Yeah, but look,
Alligators are designed perfectly for their environment, but I'm looking at it from a different aspect. Why do people love animals that are cuter, not the ugly ones? Same animal. Look at the dogs that have this crazy faces and they have no hair. The cats, people love those more than others. Some people like them, but that's because they have a
yeah,
different perspective of
I never got those shaved cats. I think they look,
right. But it's just a cat. Why
yeah,
you have such an emotion because it looks that way? So like that's like going like ugly people and good looking people. And what's a good looking person? Because they have the perfect face structure that our minds assimilate to be perfect. Like there's some psychology behind it, right? Not just
yeah, but
because they're a good person.
you heard about what happened with the attractive students during the times of COVID when when the teachers couldn't see them, their grades dropped
Agree with that?
20%.
No,
Did you read that?
no, is that true?
Yeah, because
It sounds like a good joke, but it sounds
as you
actually true.
if someone is attractive, of course they're going to get preferential treatment. If they ask a question, teacher's going to be nicer. And as you said, you assume that someone with perfect looks is going to have a perfect mind, as you was the way you described it. And I think same applies to if you're ugly as hell, then people are just not going to be into you that much, and they won't really mind giving you a bad grade or not giving you the benefit of the doubt if you're a sort of in between stuff. And it's an interesting thing because we automatically think good looking things are good. We consider them good.
I see that, and I think this is the difference of me, and I didn't realize when I was younger. Back to my autism is I've always viewed things differently, and it's always put me in the outs. I've gotten older, I've understood myself a little bit more. To me, I'll see people like a supermodel, people like whatever, she's beautiful. I'm like, I don't think she's beautiful at all. And you'll hear something about like their attitude, or they say something like, to me, like that's something the ugliest thing ever. Kind of like that Shallow Al, whatever that movie, when you saw somebody look the opposite of what you thought they were, like Gwyneth Paltrow was this thing. Yeah. So like to me, it's always been like certain visuals and certain things people say has always affected my visual effect of what I think people are. I'm not a saint by any means, but I'm saying it was really what people see for beauty all the time to me has always been very baffling.
Yeah.
When to me it just seems like I don't get it. I mean, I guess on a visual, like it's perfect, like a car, the curves. I guess I can see that. I do understand it, and I can see where it's perfection on some level, but I don't get where it's so attractive, which is the difference of beauty and which probably if you get going is probably a good note to end on. But what a great talk.
Yeah, I mean, time flew like hell.
Yeah.
So I hope that you've enjoyed yourself somewhat, and I hope
I have.
Yeah, I have immensely, and I hope that any listeners will be
interested.
Which
and if they're not, just use this every night to help you fall asleep. And we find it's very
yeah,
relaxing.
then
At least find something positive from our talk, because
the ultimate ASMR
is us
hearing two dudes discuss.
I really have a good time. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, we should do this again sometime. And now I'm gonna go back and watch all 350 episodes of your podcast. So
you may hear some redundancy in some of my fears, but I
we
probably
should
been pretty explicit about some of my dreams.
And I'll write you a terrible critique if you say anything stupid in any one of them. 351. I'll send you a list. You said
people
episode
do that
149. I was disappointed that you said.
It's funny. I'm gonna say that to that is people have done that, like have a complaint about something, and a younger version of Sean would have been like hurt. You know what I mean? I wrote a joke one time that ended up on the front page of some website that I think it got like 100,000 views a day, right?
Yeah.
They took my joke and they put it on the front page. 3 people slagged it.
Yeah.
Right. I was crushed.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I'm like, 97,000 other people either glazed over it, didn't care, or like, you know what I'm saying?
Or laughed.
3 people.
Yeah, but
it crushed me.
Yeah, but we always remember, if you get nine great reviews and 1 bad, it's the last one that kills you, and it's the last one you lie at night obsessing over.
And to that point, I'd like to think on a small level, I've gotten things like that now. People have done comments, and I'll actually write back. Thank you for taking the time to watch a show. Yeah. Thank you for taking time to share your opinion. Maybe they're not putting it in a perfect way, and maybe they are kind of being kind of jerky about it. But thank you for engaging. I mean, it's better to engage, and that's still your view. It really has very little to do with me. How people take our talk today has very little to do with our engaging. They can appreciate it, they can observe it, they can disagree with it, they can feel emotions. But how they feel is not us.
And I would like to let everyone know that my coughing now, I'm not dying. Just had something in my throat.
But you're going to the doctor now.
But I will be alive tomorrow. Thank you very much. And now I hope that you haven't now spread your nightmares about shark's disease to me.
Look up alligators in the trees, though. That's the one thing. If you take away one thing from this talk,
as an experiment, I'm going to do that right before I go to bed. I'll let you know if I get a bad.
And I'm going to look up that author and that band. So
PG Woodhouse is for the win.